Okay, we have a review of 3 Hinderer type knives. One is a ZT-0561, which is a factory authorized knockoff of a Hinderer. One is a Kevin John Hinderer knockoff, Chinese knockoff. And one is a Chinese knockoff of a factory authorized knockoff of a Hinderer knife. So if you got that, this is a knockoff of the ZT-0560, which is itself an authorized knockoff of the Hinderer, XM-18, XM-24 series. So these are all Hinderer type knives. Two of them, all of them are knockoffs. One of them is a Hinderer authorized knockoff by Zero Tolerance and Kai Knives, Kershaw, all those guys. So let me get them. Let me go through them real quick here. So let me go with this one, which is the ZT. I just got this. There's no doubt that this is a genuine knife. I just received it, and this is a 0561, which is the tan Hinderer factory authorized knockoff. So comes in a cardboard, not much case, and a bubble wrap. Get them all exposed here. And this is the tan version. This is the Kevin John, Kevin John knockoff of the Hinderer. I guess it's probably I think it's an XM-18. It's either an XM-18 or 24. I think this I don't know if this may fall in between them. This is a nice box. It's got a magnetic closure on it. You open it up and it's got kind of a microfiber soft chamois type of thing. And then it's got the, it's a nice box, much nicer than the ZT, if you're into boxes. Lots of really cool Chinese writing on the end. But this part is really nice. It's a black, and this is an absolute knockoff of Hinderer. You can see the Hinderer Knives logo on there. I mean, this is an unabashed knockoff. So that's the second knife. And the third one is, this is sharp pointed, sold by the same knife store on AliExpress, which was Kevin John's knife shop. So you can do a search for Kevin John, I think it's John's or John, Kevin John knives on AliExpress. They make overall some of the best knockoffs out there. You're not going to get them dirt cheap, but they're well-made knives. This was sold by the same shop, but it doesn't say Kevin John on it. It says sharp pointed. And this one came in one of those Chinese nasty bubble wraps, and the real crinkly looking things. And then it was inside here with this foam on top of it. It's also got a magnetic closure box, just regular foam, nothing special. This box is okay if you're into boxes. No, yeah, it does have a handwriting on there, some kind of inventory kind of thing. It's all right if you're into boxes. I'm not really a big box person. And it's a knockoff of the 0560 ZT. So I've got a 0560 and a 0561, only difference being the color of the scales. So I hope I don't run this too long. I want to show the differences that I've noticed between these knives. And give you some things to look out for. So I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on this one. I've never had the 560, just had the 561. My understanding, and I just got this today, and so I understand that there are some differences that they've addressed with some complaints. It is very smooth to open. It is a very light, the lock bar is very light and easy to work. The detent is loose enough that you can easily break it loose with just the thumb and flip it. I understand there was some detent issues with the detent being too strong, but this one's plenty strong and smooth enough. The blade's in the middle. The lockup is just, this is a fantastically done knife. The edges are pretty smooth on most places, except where I think that they've addressed some issues, but they still got some issues as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not. It depends on the intention of the knife. These edges on these jimping areas, they're still kind of sharp. And same thing with down here. They're a little sharp. They're not bad. Apparently they had to address this, and in the past these are pretty sharp. They've really addressed this from where it used to be, and this is going to become real apparent here in just a second why I'm pointing this out. But these are supposed to be the rounded version. So let me open up the knockoff of that knife. This knife is physically a little smaller. I don't know if I could get out a caliper and measure it, but I'm going to tell you, in the hand, the ZT feels a little bigger than this one. And I think that even though you can appreciate that this distance right here, it's a little smaller. So this is a little bit of a scaled down version of what it's supposed to be. So I pull this out, and these jimping areas on this knockoff knife are very sharp. Even the edges right here, hopefully I won't cut myself here. The edges of the titanium scale, you can see the scale on the real one is on the top, is thicker. It's a more substantial knife on both sides. This edge is broken pretty good. It's smoothed out. This is a much sharper angle on here, just the finish. So this is thinner on the knockoff of the original, of the knockoff of the factory authorized knockoff. This is pretty smooth edging. These jimpings on the Chinese knife are much sharper. Even though these are fairly sharp, they've been apparently worked over, and they are kind of acceptable. You notice that when you flip the knife and your thumb comes on here, you kind of notice when you hit this. You really notice when you hit this. It'll break your chunk out of your nail, and it'll hurt your finger. So this is, and it's also got a stronger detent, which I'm about to show you. So the fit and finish of this of the real ZT is considerably better. You'll notice that this area on the inside of the lock, they've made it a little deeper. And this is important because you're trying to get your finger down in there to disengage the lock. These things are sharp, much sharper than on the factory ZT. They're sharp. And then I've got a problem with this one because the way the lock was cut, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, it sticks. So this is hard to get your finger in here. They didn't cut it back enough in here like they did on the ZT. You can see that there's more of a beveled area. They all want to keep this where they don't want to show this, so they don't gnaw these G10 scales back like I think they should. You can see the overhang, the inside liner, all of them do. If I were to keep this knife and would not worry about resale, I would take the G10 back to the inside scale. That would give you more of a port to get your thumb in there. But they want to leave it dead even so it doesn't show through. That's kind of a thing that they're trying to do now, all the knives. So they have to make you a spot to get your thumb down in there. Well, they did adequately because and also there's no lock problem. This lock is super easy to disengage on the real ZT, but it is sticking and it is strong on the Chinese one, so you almost can't unlock it from here. First of all, this jimping hurts like hell. They didn't cut enough back for you to get your thumb in here, so I would relieve that. I would relieve the top, and then I'm going to show you what I would have to do to fix the lock. I've sent an email to them to try to see if they'll replace this knife because the lock is not acceptable. But to try to get this disengaged, you got to come in like this and pry it. It's sticking, and because it's not engaging properly. So that's a problem. Same thing with this jimping back here. The Chinese knockoff is on the top. This you can run your finger over and you can tell they've smoothed it out, both sides. Both of these are very sharp. I mean, you could cut yourself on these things. So I were to keep this knife, I would work all those points with a file. It's too rough. And my understanding is this is the way that these ZTs, especially the 560s when they first came out, that the Chinese are actually faithfully reproducing those problems. So this knife is a new knife, and they've worked some of these edges. Not enough as far as I'm concerned. Maybe enough if if you want this thing and you're wearing gloves and you want to grab your gloves, this is probably about the right amount. Although where your thumb comes around, I would still try to knock these down, because this kind of, when you go to flip it, now luckily it flips pretty easy, but when you pull this back, when you hit your finger right here, because you're actuating the flipper, you're hitting these points, and it's still pretty rough. But it's acceptable on this one. This one it's not. These things are sharp, and they're even worse on this Hinderer, which I'm about to show you in a minute. So that's about it. There definitely is a little bit of a difference. They left this just kind of a blasted finish on the knockoff here, the Chinese knockoff. On the ZT, it's got a satin blasted finish, but they just sort of left it. I don't know if they left it kind of silvery looking. I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of the Chinese titanium is this gray, dark gray. So it's just a little different. Maybe a different grade of titanium which gives it the color. Maybe these are both natural. I don't know. I don't know if how much they did as far as polishing this, but it's a little shinier and a little silverier, almost like a coating. Obviously, they missed the ZT logo on the clip on the Chinese knockoff. Didn't put anything on the blade on this side, which is very surprising. The blades are a little different. You can see this kind of hump in the back of the Chinese blade, whereas the real ZT just kind of goes straight over. It's kind of got a shark kind of thing going on there. They're both kind of like that, but the real ZT is a little smoother curve, whereas this one kind of comes out, humps up, and then falls to where the drop point goes. Little different, so there's a little bit of different profile in the blade, not a lot. The ZT logo on the real one is a little bigger, and you can really see in this light that it really shows up that the ZT logo on the real knife here is printed better. It's a little light. It's larger but lighter on the knockoff, the clone. This is this is about $70. This is a couple of $100, over 200. So I always like to look at these things and say, first of all, whatever steel that ZT says in here is this knife is made out of. This is LMAX. ZT's had a lot of problems with their LMAX, so that's nothing to brag about. I don't know if they fixed their edge retention issues with LMAX. It sounds like when they were grinding the edges, they were getting them too hot, and they were ended up with a soft edge that wouldn't retain an edge very well. So LMAX is nothing to brag about unless they fixed it. I don't know if they have. I've not heard anybody say they have. One thing's for sure, I don't think there is a statement on this one, the knockoff, what it is. And even if it did say something on it, you wouldn't believe it. So there's no statement about it. I'm sure it's some kind of stainless. It might be 440C, or it might be 8CR13 MOV, something like that. Could be D2. I think this might have been listed as a D2, a particulate steel. And they do have access to over there to that. So this knife, if this lock, I need to go over that, was working properly, this would be a pretty good knife, pretty good deal on a knife, because it's made pretty well, except for an issue here that I'll see if I can illustrate. If you look down in this space here where the lock meets the blade, there we go. So you got the lighter edged lock face meeting the little bit, looks in this picture, darker edged blade. You can see they're perfectly parallel, so that the edge of the lock engages the edge of the blade along its length, basically 100%, which means that this lock is just, it goes in there and it locks in place, and it is rock solid. It doesn't, you push on it, you can't force it over further because it's not the right fit or anything. It disengages easy and it locks in easy. It's got, whatever that percentage of lockup looks like. A little less than 50%, 40%. I mean, this lock is just a dream to work. And it's because they cut these properly. You can see right there, the lock edge and the blade edge are perfectly parallel. That's a problem with this particular Chinese knife. Come on, let's get a little focus action going here. There we go. you can see that the blade, it looks, neither one of them are cut straight. That's a mess. So the blade is coming down at a strange angle, and the lock is only meeting it. I don't know how much you can see this. The lock is really only meeting it in the front. And so the effect of that is that, so let's flip it open, and it actually flips pretty good, except your finger gets eat up when it comes over here. So let me give a good flip. So this is what how you would expect to open this knife. And you can see it's 50% lockup. So I'm going to try to disengage it. Push, 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 push. It's stuck. And you'll hear it maybe. Well, I don't know if you'll hear it. Let me take a microphone and stick it over here and see if you can hear it. So I don't know if you heard that, but it's noisy when it disengages, sometimes more so than others. So watch this lock action here and how much it moves back and forth. So I'm going to disengage it. I'm going to engage it. It's at 50%. Watch this. It's still engaged, but it's barely engaged. You can't make a real good lock do this stuff. Watch it move. Now it's over 50%. And this thing is significantly you should not be able to take, and I'll demonstrate this on the ZT. Come on. You should not be able to push that over like that. You can also see how much is down here, and that's because the lock is not cut properly. And if I pull it back here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not making a clean pattern on that lock face in there. It's only engaging the first couple of millimeters of the blade. It's making so instead of making an even rub pattern across the blade, it's only engaging in the forward portion of the tang. So that's a major flaw on this knife. I've sent back some feedback to those guys, and maybe they'll replace this. This knife, on the other hand, is made by Kevin John. It is an absolute rip-off of the Hinderer. It's not a perfect rip-off. They don't have the stone finished. You could do that on your own on here. But the way they've done this insert for the detent on here and the lock, and the hardened face for the lock, the way they did, I don't have a real Hinderer to compare this to. The way they did these flippers, the buttons on the blade, the way they did the scales, they got very nice aggressive scaling on it. It's not soft like a lot of the Chinese G10. It's not, it's got a very aggressive milled face on it, CNC milled face on it. It's got the proper connector here. These are all of the proper connectors, the way these are done. Everything about this knife was done correctly. And it feels like it. Everything about it works smooth as silk. The only complaint I would have about it is the jimping is very aggressive on here and tears your thumb up when you flip it open. This logo, if you compare this to a genuine Rick Hinderer logo, it's bigger. It's like, I don't know, 50% larger. So that kind of sticks out when you look at the knife. And this buoy grind is a blade shape offered by Hinderer. I didn't know it was. When I bought it, I was having trouble finding the Spanto grind over there. I should have been a little more patient. I would have got one with that grind. But they do have a buoy grind in their catalog. They do this particular knife just like in this configuration. So, so this is not something that's not offered by them. But this knife is really well made. You can look at the beefiness of these standoffs in here and how well they're done. About the only thing that gives this away as not being a Hinderer right off the bat is how big that logo is, and the fact that this is not stonewashed. It's just a satin blasted finish. But this knife right here, I'm sure it's pretty decent steel. It's got a pretty good edge on it. Is very smooth, and it's got a there is one drawback, one thing I have to fix on this knife. I'll keep this knife. It's definitely worth what I paid for it, and I can't afford the ridiculous price that Hinderer's selling a $150 knife for $700, and it's like, I mean, I don't even want to go into how he prices his knives and why he's doing it, and he can do whatever he wants to because of the demand for his knives, but this knife is well worth the $70 or $80 I paid for it. It's got a little problem here though, in that when they did this right here, they left this very sharp and they made very fine cuts in here. So it's not too bad on the back, but to try to, and it's got a very strong detent on the blade. So to try to overcome that detent, even if you try to open it by the stud here, I mean, I can feel the blade flexing sideways where I'm pushing on this. It does not want to open. And to open it with your finger to flip it, it wants to, because that edge is sharp, it wants to bite a chunk out of your index finger when you try to flip that. Now, if you grab it like this, it is smooth as silk. It's on ball bearings. So I've got to fix that and round that off and smooth it out a little bit. And when I do that, I'll smooth these jimping things out. I may even take this off and I may want to practice stone washing or anodizing or something on here. But this is quite a deal on a knife. It's probably, decent steel. When I first started collecting knives, 440C or 8CR13 MOV, stuff like that, is pretty good steel. So, and of course, this one says that it is S35VN. That's not true. They just don't have access to that over there. But they ground it pretty good. And, there was, the guy who did this had some talent. It's got a double choil. You're kind of close to, I wouldn't necessarily use that because your index finger is very close to the edge of that blade. Just a design issue of the knife. A lot of knife people, knife designers who design these knives, they make a front choil to me that's not usable because it's too dangerous. But this right here is a very good choil area to keep you from sliding up on the blade. If you were to have to use this in some type of defensive capabilities, you would appreciate the fact that this is deeply cut in here, and it might keep you from slicing all the tendons in your fingers if you were to try to stab somebody with this knife defending yourself. I certainly wouldn't want to use a knife for defense that didn't have a significant bolster type guard on the front. Nice connectors on, nice fasteners on it. This is the proper way to do this. So very nice knife. No complaints about this one other than I do have to fix it. So overall, these are all three well-made knives. Definitely the ZT is just, this thing is just smooth as silk. I mean, there's just zero complaints you can have about this other than maybe the aggressiveness of the jimping in certain areas, which can be addressed easily with a diamond file. And the rest of it is fit and finish on it is superb. Got a real problem with the geometry of the lock on this one, and I'm going to see what they do on that. And then this Hinderer has just got, basically, I may work on the detent to loosen it up a little bit, and I'll fix this edge here on the flipper, and it will be a perfect knife as well. And I may also radius this because it could use just, I don't know, maybe just a little bit, opening up maybe that G10 so I can get my finger in there a little bit. I'll probably take this G10 back where it overhangs here so that I can get in closer to that lock. Make it a little easier. Very nice knife. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm very interested in looking at how good a job that these Chinese counterfeiters are doing on our knives, and they're doing a pretty nice job. So that's why I sort of snag these things, and I try to do a side-by-side comparison so that you can see one against the other. As far as identifying, this thing is a knockoff, the thing that kind of gives it away are these two pin marks right here, where they did the lock face in there, where it's on the titanium, and you can see that the real ZT's just got this screw here, whereas this has got a couple of these pins on here. So in addition to, you know, the logoing and stuff is not quite right. But on this particular knife, you would look for these two pins on here saying, that's a fake. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And thank you for watching.